Hi, hope you're doing well. So this is Biology Paper 1 SL TZ1 November 2023. All right, so let's start the paper. So undifferentiated cells which are like it can be become specialized to perform specific function in a multicellular organism. So what accounts for the difference in these cells? So yeah, no, chromosomes number remain the same because they belongs to human. Their proteomes are different. Yes, that's the thing. In undifferentiated cells, when they turns into specialized, like stem cells turns into specialized cells, their proteomes are different. That's the answer. So, what was the observed by electron microscopy that leads to the falsification of the Davson's Donnelly model and acceptance of Singer-Nicholson model for the cell membrane? So the only thing which is the presence of transmembrane protein. Transmembrane proteins are also, we can say, that's peripheral proteins, and that's the only thing which is like falsification of Davson Donnelly model and acceptance of the Singer Nicholson model. Okay. In experiment, a student placed five fresh potato cylinders of equal size in solution of varying sucrose concentration. So on completion of experiment, student conclude that concentration of sucrose isotonic mean it's same, right? Same concentration. So as 0.30. So over there is a 0.30. So it should be there are like three potato cylinder which actually lose the mass to make it 0.3. So that's why we can say that 3 is the answer. Okay. So Pasteur boiled broth in swan necked flask. He then broke the neck of one of the flask and left another one why unbroken. So what observation did he make about the broth in the flask with broken and unbroken neck that led him to conclude the spontaneous generation does not occurs? So where the oxygen can transport and different microorganisms they can it become cloudy, the x become cloudy and it become not cloudy, that mean there is something which is like microorganisms addition with oxygen, the environment. So that's why it become cloudy. So that's how he then broke that he concluded that spontaneous generation does not occurs. A microscope slide of an onion root tip shows the number of cells in different stages of mitosis. So what is the mitotic index? So mitotic index is always the, we can say that is point 0.4. Point 0.4 is the mitotic index. What distinguish alpha D glucose from beta D glucose? So these are different conformation of the glucose. So you have the ring structure of the glucose. So carbon, then oxygen, then carbon, 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 carbon. So the presence of the OH group. So the orientation of OH group upstairs or the downstairs, it indicate the alpha and beta glucose. So A is the answer. Water and methane molecules have different thermal properties despite similarities in mass. So what is the reason why water remains in liquid state over the large range of the temperature? So the only thing which is very important is the extraordinary hydrogen bonding in the water molecule. So there are stronger attraction which is called hydrogen bonding present in the water molecule, which is absent in the methane. In what units would body mass index measured? So that is like kilogram meter per square. Okay. The diagram shows the structure of amino acid methionine with some labeled atoms labeled. Which atom would remove when two molecules of methionine together to form dipeptide? Of course, this is being removed, and the hydrogen with this is removed. So the only thing which is removed, that is OH, because OH and H from the amino group, it removed to form a dipeptide. That's how a dipeptide is formed. So that's why the answer is D. Okay. So pancreatic amylase in an enzyme that breaks down starch into maltase. The graph shows how the rate of reaction of pancreatic amylase change as the concentration of substrate increases. So what cause the rate of reaction of to leveled off? So when the active site saturated, that's the thing where the enzyme activity is maximum. After that, it leveled off. So C is the answer. Which subunit would be connected by hydrogen bonds in DNA molecules? So DNA, there are nitrogenous bases. Cytosine always with guanine and uracil always with thymine. Thymine with deoxy, no. Phosphate with that's a bond, covalent linkage. The diagram shows the arrangement of operators used to carry out an experiment with germinating seeds. The levels of the colored water in the glass tube shows the result at the end of experiment. Initially the levels of colored water in the glass tube are equal. What does the experiment shows? You know, that's what you need to know. Like, germinating seeds, they need oxygen. They need oxygen. Always remember. That's how the colored material they move upstairs. That's the only reason. They need oxygen. The image shows the separation of photosynthetic pigment in a spinach leaf by thin layer, chromatography, and the color of the that appear on the chromatogram. What color is the pigment RF 0.2? You have to calculate this. That's very easy. You know the formula of RF? Solute distance divided by solvent front distance. That's the formula. You can plug in the values to get the RF. So if the chlorophyll B is there, we will have the RF 0.5. If the chlorophyll A is there, it's maybe 0.6. It may be, it's closer to solvent front, it should be 0.9. So beta carotene, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls, they will give the value below 0.5, which we need 0.2. So xanthophylls is basically the yellow in color, so that's why A is the answer. I hope you understand this question. All chromosomes present in a bacterial cell and a unicellular fungus were extracted and their structure analyzed. What would be a common feature of chromosomes found in both type of cells? They contain same bases, always remember. They contain always same bases. What occurs during the first division of meiosis? That's why it is called like, allele. So, what occurs during the first division of meiosis? So, half the chromosomes number, always remember, that's the meiosis in the first stage. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disorder that leads to the lung damage. Two parents both have a recessive allele of a gene for cystic fibrosis and have no sign or symptoms of the disease. The first child has cystic fibrosis. What is the probability of their second child? Since the two parents have recessive alleles and they have no sign, that means um, they are heterozygous. So if you make a cross, capital C small c, capital C small c, you have to make the cross for heterozygous, capital C small c, capital C small c, capital C, capital C, capital C small c, capital C small c, small c, small c. So that's a diseased. So it is 25%. 25% is the answer. The diagram shows the DNA profile of two couples and two children. What is the most probable relationship? You know the the child 1 sequence is linked with the couple X. You can clearly see their sequence is very very matched. But if I use a different color, child 2 they have linked with the couple Y. You can clearly see. Look at this. So child 2 they belongs to couple Y, child 1 they belongs to couple X. That's why C is the answer. Mycena interrupta lives in small colonies on moist, rotting dead wood in rainforest forest. It feeds on the plant material by breaking it down with enzyme before ingestion. What best describes the mode of nutrition of this species? That is called saprotroph. Saprotroph. Autotroph, which can make their own food, chemotrophic by chemicals, saprotropic by this method. Okay, pyramid of energy shows the annual gross productivity of each trophic level in Silver Spring ecosystem. Like there are a lot of plants in Florida. Okay, so what does the pyramid show? Yeah, energy lost by autotrophs. Look at this. A lot of energy lost by autotrophs. So A is the answer. What condition favors peat formation? Always peat formed anaerobically inside the earth and acidic conditions required. So B is the answer. The graph shows how worldwide use of fossil fuel has increased from 1800 to 2019. How has the increased combustion of fossil fuel contributed significantly global warming? Look at this, like there's a drastic increase. You know what happens? Like For example, this is the earth, this is the layer of the carbon dioxide or methane gas, this is the sun. So it prevent to escape the harmful radiations and UV radiations, which actually increase the temperature. So it's not cause ozone depletion, but carbon dioxide, it prevent radiations, it absorb the long wave radiations, it prevent to escape the radiations. So that's why 421 B should be the answer. What is the result of natural selection? So natural selection, it always decrease the frequency of certain characteristics, always it decrease the this the stereothymos, that's the most. Okay, they are both bryophytes in order. Okay, so bryophyte is the class, they both are bryophytes, so they are classified into same class because they have same class. That's they are not going to have same genus. Why? Because that's a genus name, they have different genus. The wings of the bat and insect have both evolved for flight. The bat have bones to strengthen their wings and insects have veins. So what is the valid comparison of bat and insect wings? They are analogs. Both allow flight. They are not homologous structure. They are not homologous structure. And their common ancestor will be never same. So that's why D is the answer. A mixture of starch solution and amylase was placed in dialysis tubing in a beaker of water to stimulate digestion and absorption. What change would be expected in the concentration of sugar and starch in the distilled water and inside the dialysis tubing after 1 hour? Okay. Distilled water remain unchanged, but the sugar in the dialysing tube and sugar in distilled water. Starch remains same, but the sugar in dialysis tubing, it always like we can say that increase sugar in dialysing tube, that's a dialysing tube because starch breaks down the amylase into sugar. So sugar in the dialysing tube is going to increase, and sugar in distilled water, then some sugar also remove outside, so it also increase because dialysing tube is not the permeable for starch molecule due to its big size. So that's why the distilled water has no starch. So that's why C should be the answer. What is the reason antibiotics are not used to treat strains of viruses that cause influenza? Because They do not have viruses, they do not have any metabolism. So C is the answer. Because antibiotic, if the bacteria or something like having metabolism, having certain enzymes, so antibiotics, they blocks the active site, they destroy the enzyme, or they block the pathways. But the problem is with virus, like they lack a metabolism. There's no metabolism in the viruses. That's why antibiotics are not functional against viruses. The body has developed various methods to fight against infectious disease. So fibrinogen convert into fibrin, which prevent the entry of, that is the blood clotting process. Okay. Phagocyte white blood cells, they recognize pathogen and ingest and destroy them by the different process. And lymphocytes produce antibodies in response to pathogen in blood, which provides specific immunity to disease. So immunity is linked with the antibodies production. So the lymphocytes, they basically produce specific immunity. The spirometer readings shows the change of volume of the lungs during normal breathing. So what is the tidal volume and ventilation rate? So tidal volume you can easily calculate. That's the tidal volume, like zero point 0.5. And you can, per minute, you can easily calculate ventilation rate change over time. So after calculating, I got 15. This is time in second, you have to convert into minutes. So this is the answer. The use of neonicotinoid pesticide in agriculture has been restricted because they reduce the survival of useful insect populations such as bees. A study compared the distance moved in one day by bees poisoned with neonicotinoids and healthy bees. What explains the result obtained for the bees poisoned with neonicotinoids? So mean relative distance. So bees muscle contraction decreases as less acetylcholine binds with receptor. So neonicotinoid is the inhibitor of acetylcholine. A very famous neurotransmitter. So that's the function. That's how muscle contraction decreased. Neonicotinoid is inhibitor. So denaturation, no. Like muscles were overstimulated, no. If it almost overstimulated, then it should be covered more distance. Not permanently block, but it decreases as less because they move. If it permanently block, then bees never move. So they are moving, but it decreases less acetylcholine is there. That's why the answer for this question is D. The hormone leptin has been tested on patients with clinical obesity to try to treat the disease. From where the leptin is secreted, where does it act, and what is the function? So it's secreted from
Thank you for staying with me to the end. Don't hesitate to leave your question or request in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.